So I came across this quote this week by an author that I appreciate, David Dark. He said, "I am part of all that I enable." Now, this is of course a play off of Tennyson's line from the poem Ulysses, "I am part of all that I have met," where he's talking about how everywhere he has traveled, the people he has encountered, he has left a part of himself there. He has changed the world through his participation in it. But Dark here changes that a little bit to talk about all the things that we enable in the world. And this has really stuck with me because I find it incredibly challenging both on the positive and the negative sides of my life. Also, in particular, I'm drawn to the connection to the story that we looked at on Sunday. We're moving through Advent and we encountered this interaction between Mary and Elizabeth. Mary finds out she's going to be pregnant, and the first thing that she does is to get up and go. She journeys to see her relative Elizabeth, and Elizabeth welcomes her, greets her, celebrates her pregnancy, and gives her a safe space for that story to grow inside of her. It becomes the environment from which Mary's Magnificat is born, this beautiful protest song that we talked about on Sunday. But Elizabeth is part of that. Elizabeth, by creating that safe environment for that story to be nurtured, is now part of what she has enabled in the world. This goes for you and I. I am part of all that I have enabled. The stories that I have cheered on, the stories that I have given resource and voice to, the successes of the people around me that I have played any small role in, I am part of this, and I get to celebrate that. And I think when we actually learn to take joy in the stories that surround us and the ways that we play small parts, perhaps on the sidelines, maybe we don't get the recognition for it, but we actually get to be part of that story. And when we can actually celebrate that as if it was our story, that we enabled this, we were part of it, I think this is part of the solidarity that the Christian story invites us into, that we really learn how to celebrate, how to cheer on each other, believing that the successes of the people we care about really are our victories as well. But there's also a dark side of this, that I am part of all that I enable means that as I allow things to go on in the world that I know are not right, they are unjust, I am part of that as well. When someone tells a joke that's off color, that demeans or dehumanizes someone, and I laugh along with it, or I don't say anything, I just sit there and allow it to be said lingering in the air, I am part of that because I enable it. I'm part of the systems that enable injustice in the world. I'm part of the systems that allow certain people to be pushed down into the dirt when I don't stand up for them. As a Canadian, we have all kinds of structural imbalances that disadvantage our Indigenous neighbors, and I am part of that when I don't stand up for what's right, when I don't act for justice, when I simply allow what is to exist. I enable it, and I am part of it, and I need to learn to take responsibility for it. I am part of all that I enable. This really challenges me to think about how I exist in the world and how I make changes and choices in the world for the better. But I am really captured by this week, and I want you to think about all of the things that you enable in the world. The beautiful, good stories that you are part of because you enabled someone else to do something special. The ways that you enable systems of injustice and oppression to continue in the world because you don't stand up against them. This brings a whole new awareness of our responsibility in the kingdom of God, what it means to follow the way of Jesus in the world, because we are every day enabling all kinds of beauty and goodness in the world and enabling all kinds of injustice and oppression in the world. And when we really learn how to take responsibility for all of that, we will move closer to the kinds of communities that Jesus invites us into.